What's up? Welcome to your daily Buckeye Blitz for a Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. Don't forget, hit up the BuckeyeCast.com, the BuckeyeCast.com. Everything's on sale still. Get yourself some new Buckeye gear and support the show at the same time. What could be better? This is crap on my keyboard. Anyway, sorry. Today, we're talking Ryan Day press conference highlights. Let's get into it. Here we go. All right. Question number one for Coach Day. Is the offensive line blocking better?
Yeah, I think so. But like you said, it makes a big difference when Trey's back there and we get him to the second level. I thought we got him to the second level quite a bit on Saturday, and he was able to really get to the safeties, and he was physical on a couple runs, and he was able to make a couple guys miss. And so I thought, again, we were more efficient in the second half there, but there was a couple things that got us off schedule. Certainly the sack was something that we did not expect, and so puts us in a really tough situation there. But again, the efficiency certainly starts with the offensive line. I think you saw some of that again. I think you're seeing steps forward, and Trey is a big part of that.
Okay. What do you think of Jermaine Matthews stepping up this year?
When we recruited Jermaine, we felt like this was a very competitive player. We had him in camp, and at camp, it was a really hot day out there, and he competed the whole day and just kept going and going. Usually guys, and at the time, we hadn't offered him, and he was fighting for a scholarship. He was just hungry. You could see it. And then when he got in here, you saw the same thing. And once the competition started, he was at his best. So you just never know till you get him into those situations. But it seems like the bigger the stage, the more he likes it. And he is, nowhere near a finished product. But the competitiveness and the physicality is there. He's been challenged having to step up to be a starter. He's responded to that. And now, that he's put a couple of games on film, he's going to have to now continue that and show consistency.
Is Jelani Thurman an option at tight end?
We're trying to build as much depth as we can in that room. I thought that G and Pat both stepped up in a big way. But Jelani has an opportunity every day to show that, he can be counted on in a game. And he was ready to go in the game if needed. And so we'll keep pushing him to get better. We think he has a tremendous skill set, and he has a very bright future ahead of him. So we're all in on him. So he's, the tight end, as we talked about before, the tight end position is a developmental position. There's a lot there.
And the blocked or the botched punt against Rutgers, that was not a fake. And what about Parker Fleming and his coaching?
Well, the ball should have been punted. Never should have been run in that situation. So ultimately, I'm the head coach, and so it comes back on me. But it needs to be communicated better, and it's unacceptable. I just think the communication has to be clearer. When you make it too gray, you just you make it hard on the player, and no excuse. Jesse needs to punt the ball, but I think as coaches we can be clearer in exactly what we want on a play. I watch Parker every day, and I see the way he coaches, and I think he's a great teacher and a great coach. And I can just tell you that he works as hard as anybody in the building. But we're all being evaluated every single time we're out there, and it's everybody that's involved in special teams. It's not just the coordinator, although he's ultimately in charge, and I'm ultimately in charge. So you can put it back on me, but clearly, we've everybody who's in charge of special teams, because there's a lot of coaches that are involved with that, in the meetings, can all do a better job. And so, we'll just keep pushing to make it better. But, we know what the expectation is.
And what about the two running back package we saw this past weekend with Henderson and Chip Trainum?
Well, it gives you two ball carriers. And when that happens, they have to at least defend you a little bit differently. There's different schemes that you have to defend, and both of those guys bring a different skill package to the table. And when you're in 3 wide receivers with 1 tight end, they defend you a certain way. When you bring in another running back, it's just the spacing's different, the schemes are different, the angles are different. And sometimes when you can change that up, it opens up things in other areas, so a team isn't just focused on one personnel grouping or one scheme. And so to mix those things in is healthy. Now, you have to be efficient with it, and you have to figure out where you want to spend your time to get really good. But both of those guys give us something on the field at the same time.
What does it take to win in November?
Well, I think it goes to your discipline. It goes to your consistency. It goes to your leadership. It goes to your maturity to understand what it takes. Nobody's entitled to winning. And we win a lot of games around here, but it's because of the hard work of the players on the field. And it's the week. It's, getting their body up to where it needs to be. That this time of year, it's not easy to do. I mean, these guys, they're putting it on the line. They're preparing their bodies, whether it's the ice baths, whether it's the treatment, eating right, hydrating, sleep. I mean, that's a lot to this run that we're on. Getting their mind right, preparing every week is a different opponent. And then obviously getting your spirit and soul ready to go put it on the line every Saturday. You don't just show up in football and play. I mean, you got to put it on the line. And so every week it's, you build up that fuel tank and you just let it all out in the field. And then you come back and you try to figure out how to get that thing loaded up the most you possibly can to go do it again. And that's going to be the same thing Saturday night. I give Coach Barnett a lot of credit for how he's handled himself, and certainly in a tough situation. They came back and won a game last week, and so like you said, this time of year when you're playing in the Big Ten, you got to bring it, and you see it every single week. So those are the things that we focus on, is every week trying to be consistent, and then hopefully that consistency over time builds momentum, and that it pays off down the road.
All right. Up next, what about Kyle McCord's performance this past Saturday?
Nothing down the field. No, I mean, they were in a pretty too high shell the entire game, so there wasn't much down the field. Safeties were 20 to 25 yards deep on both sides for the majority of the time, and certainly the interception on the 2-minute drill. The ball needs to be layered better. That was the Will linebacker who made that play, and so he knows that. But I thought he was efficient. I thought he checked the ball down when, if they're saying you're not going to throw the ball down the field, you have to be willing to take the check down. And a good example of that was in the first drive. They put a cover 2 on it. He checked the ball down to Emeka, nice and easy, simple football, 10-yard gain, and we keep moving the chains. And that's what you have to be willing to do, is identify what you're getting and then make the right read. So there was some of that. Even the check down to Travion was well done. The timing was right. So I think we could have done a little bit better job of helping him on a couple of the things. We could have thrown it better, caught it better. But if it wasn't for the interception, he would have graded out a champion. I thought overall he graded out well, but anytime you throw an interception and turn the ball over, you're not going to be graded out that way. So again, I thought there was progress made. He started off well, had a bunch of completions in a row. That was good. Something that, we've been focused on trying to get into a rhythm early in the game. So some real good there. And he's got to take the next step here again this week.
And what do you think about Tommy Eichenberg's health going into this next game?
Yeah, it was another physical game, and it's like you come out of the game and you go in there and try to identify what happened with everybody. So we'll keep trying to get these guys treatment the best we can. That's kind of what I was talking about when it comes to bodies. Everyone's kind of this time of year is struggling. So, yeah, I mean, I expect them to be out there today, and we'll kind of see how the week goes. But this time of year, you're gonna have a lot of guys with bumps and bruises for sure.
And how does Denzel Burke? How's his health?
We're expecting Denzel to have a pretty good week of work here. Lathan, I think we're probably going to continue to identify kind of where he's at, maybe later in the week. But yeah, Denzel will be out there today.
How about the running game? What'd you see from Trey Henderson?
It's probably, maybe it's a little bit of both there, but I think I mentioned that before. It's everybody involved. It's the receivers getting in there and digging people out. It's the tight ends and their blocks. it's the quarterback making sure we get into the right play, or possibly reading somebody, or if it's a read or an RPO, making sure that we're not running into an overload box at times. It's making sure that as coaches we put them into the right play. I mean, it's everybody involved. But when you're having success, you just believe more. You start to see more of a confidence, and that's probably what you're recognizing.
What do you like from Jordan Hancock this year?
I think Jordan, two things. One is extremely competitive. Extremely competitive. You saw that right when he jumped in the program. I just recognized that part of it. And the second thing is he has a tremendous work ethic. I mean, he's in here a lot watching film on his own, constantly wearing out Coach Walt. He works hard at it. He's another guy who has a tremendous work ethic and is also very competitive. And when you combine those two things with his ability, you're starting to see some production. And that was a big play he had on Saturday for sure.
All right. Next up, let's talk a little bit more Kyle McCord on his decision-making, throwing the ball away or taking a sack.
I don't it was a unique play. We've never really seen it before. The nickel and the will came at the same time. I don't know if there was a miscommunication on their end or what happened, but it caught us off guard, and it's not something we were expecting. So I don't know exactly how it played out, but the line was going one way and both guys came. So very unique, but I'm glad that, Kyle held on to that one because we weren't prepared for that. And so we made an adjustment to make sure that, moving forward, if that were to get called again, and was executed on defense that way, that we were ready for it. It didn't happen again. So, I wrote it off as a one-off, and he held on to the ball, and we just had to move on. And I think it was 2nd and 19, and would love to see us get half back there. Took the flat, but when you take a hit like that you're not expecting, you can get rattled quick as a quarterback. And so he had to get his feet back underneath him. And at the end of the play, we ended up pooching. And I know that's not a great scenario. That's not what we want to be. We want to score points in that spot, but we didn't turn the ball over, and we don't want to lose the ball in 3rd and extra long. So overall, I thought Kyle in that moment handled himself well.
Okay. And has Ohio State, well, obviously they haven't played a complete game on offense start to finish. What do you think? Why do you think that is?
One of the things we've tried to do is really establish the run game this year, probably maybe more than last couple of years with CJ. And, it sometimes takes a little time for you to establish the run game. I think you're starting to see that happen as the game goes on. You start to see those 3-yard hits get to 4 and 5, and then you start to see the 5 and 6s get to, a little bit more explosive plays, and then it opens up more things in the pass game. But there's no question that we want to be faster. We want to be moving out of the gates. We want to be more efficient. We want to score. But part of the run game too is, making hard 3s and 4s early on. And so what that forces you to do is you got to be really good on 3rd down. And that's to me what didn't happen on Saturday. We didn't execute on 3rd down in the first half. And because if you can convert on those 3rd downs and you can start to wear on the run game a little bit, that's when every play gets a little better. So I think it more has to do with, being more efficient on 3rd down, especially early in the game.
All right. And last question. What do you think about Proctor? Will he be ready this weekend?
Yeah. I think he's going to be ready to roll here. We'll keep looking at it, but tough player, productive player. Been through a lot, been through injuries, been through a few years here, seen the good, the bad, but he's still here and graded out a champion. And that was one heck of a play. He never broke stride, and that was a big time collision, and did a great job of just veering off of him enough not to make contact, with his head. And that's not easy to do when you're going full speed like that. I mean, and you're making, split-second decisions, and that ball squirts up in the air to Jordan. That was a huge play in the game. So yeah, we're counting on him to be a guy that we can rely on down the stretch to be a big part of our defense, because he's a veteran guy that certainly has a lot of ability.
All right, folks. Hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget, tomorrow we will have the Jim Knowles press conference highlights. He gets into a lot of what he saw in the Rutgers game, what he liked, didn't like, who's getting close to coming up, making some, getting some snaps over the next few weeks. Jack Sawyer, Tommy Eichenberg, things like that. So talk to you tomorrow. Go Bucks.